So, first of all, thank you both for speaking to me. I wanted to start speak to Latoya first with this question of regarding, you know, she's been through a lot emotionally in terms of with Monet. And so with this pregnancy, I wanted to know how will she do things differently to ensure her and her child's actual safety from Monet? Because we've seen before you can get out of the game, you have to come back in. We've seen that wishy-washy attitude. But how will it be different, do you feel, this time?
I think this time, because there is a baby involved, and maybe in Diana's head, it's like maybe Monet didn't feel like she got it completely right with us. Maybe she has another chance at getting it right with the grandchild. So not only is Diana trying to make sure that she's protecting this new life, but her mother, we're seeing a different side of her because she literally comes in and stops Tariq from taking my life. Maybe this is this new side of her getting a chance to do things right. So Diana's protecting the baby, and so is Monet. And to have Monet, the head honcho of it, being that protector, that shield, I feel like Diana could possibly be in a good position.
Okay. So then you with Lolo, I wanted to know with Dru, you had that huge fight with Kane in the episode that we saw. But I wanted to know, he was in pain and you both were in pain. During that moment, was Dru truly listening to him and understanding his pain? Or was it more of a survival tactic to just keep staying alive? Let me just stave him off for a minute until I can get the gun back.
Hmm. It's a good question. I think for myself as Lavelle, I believe that he truthfully did hear him and want to receive what he was saying. But at the same time, Dru is a smart double thinker where he goes, I know that I can push this emotional button because if he wanted to shoot me, he would have already shot me.
Mhm.
So we have a moment here and I can play that up. And as soon as I get him off his game, I'll hear something that might actually stop me, but I can't stop myself. I have to keep going to get this gun and get out of this danger. So it was a bit of a double thought for Dru, where the motivation behind it is how do I escape? But in what Kane is saying, I think it does truthfully move him and affect him.
Okay. So then for Latoya, what I wanted to know is the big question was who was the father of the child? We now know. But I wanted to know from you, from Diana, in terms of Salim and Tariq, who do you think is mentally has the maturity to be a father?
Neither one of them, because if Salim had the maturity, then he would have been forthcoming with who he really is back in season 3. Diana wouldn't have had to find out and say, "Oh, you're part of this family." Da, 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 da. Like, he could have felt comfortable enough, or after the relationship. I mean, by then they had already been sexual and all the things. He could have found a moment to bring that up. And with Tariq, he has so much going on. Although Diana loves her some Tariq and would love to have that be that end game, I don't believe that even Tariq is mature enough. He wants to be mature enough, but neither of them are really mature enough to. Neither is Diana to have a baby. So
Do you feel that she is mentally mature enough to be a single mom?
no, I believe that she is smart enough and resourceful enough, but I don't think she's ready. Not with the chaos and everything that's happening around the Tejada family and Tariq.
Okay. So then a question for both. I was wondering with Diana and Dru, had Lorenzo stayed alive, where do you see their futures could have been at this moment?
Hmm. I feel like if Lorenzo were to still be alive, there probably would have been another fight for dominance in some way, where I think there would have been a picking of sides. Someone has to side with Monet, someone has to side with Poppy, and there might have been a greater division in the family than we've seen now, because everyone's still around, and now you have to figure out who you agree with, who you're going to side with. Are you going to play both sides? Are we in the same house? Not necessarily a divorce or something like that, but just more so. I don't think two powerhouses could have stayed, and together like that, and not one of them have to submit to the other.
For you, Latoya?
I 100% second that. It's like you said, two powerhouse. It's too much ego, too many bosses. I agree. I don't know exactly where Diana would be if Lorenzo was still alive, because he did kind of force her to sell drugs for him while he was in college, which she didn't want to be a part of. So I'm not sure where that could have gone, but I would have loved to see it, especially the way Lovell just said it. It's kind of like the Game of Thrones situation where you have to see who goes which way, and then how are they going to be combative towards each other? Are they going to eventually come together? What alliances they're going to build? That would have been really nice to see. So honestly, I can't answer that question, but I do love what Lovell said.
So at the end, Dru and Diana both technically free from the family. Dru has been isolated. He has been kicked out and everything. What would you say it has cost them, either mentally? We know the literal, but mentally, what did it cost them?
It cost Dru his chance to get any semblance of a small loan of $1 million. Now he has to figure it out on his own. Whereas before he could have had that, with the family behind him, he could have had that. But now he has to do it all by himself and build from the ground up in a way we haven't seen him have to do that before.
Okay.
Yeah. For Diana, maybe a sense of independence, maybe in a way. But I do think that as the season goes on, you will see that she will figure out how to navigate through and find what she needs to find without giving it too much. Yeah.
Do you feel that either Diana and Dru can truly find happiness in that messy family?
I think so. I think it has. I think it has to be a stripping away of the ego at some point. I think that it takes. I always say, like, you can control what you do, you can't control what others do, right? So how do you navigate a situation? How do you respond to a situation? Are you okay with taking a back seat for a second if in the long run it means that you have more, or is it that you need that now but it's short and you're always looking over your shoulder?
For Diana, I would say, or just in general, to find a sense of happiness, if Diana contacted a therapist, sure, you can find a way to find happiness. I just had a conversation yesterday with my trainer, and it's so crazy because sometimes when you if you're viewing something a certain way, or you have a bad day in the morning, you have a bad morning, and then you keep that same outlook for the rest of the day, you're going to attract everything negative, because you're going to see it in a negative way because you've allowed that frequency that you were on to stay that way. So I feel like if you change the channel, change that station, change that frequency, and allow yourself, even through chaos, to find something good, then you're going to attract good. So I do feel like she could definitely find happiness if she were to truly seek it out and change the frequency that she's on.
Boom.
Thank you both so much for speaking to me. Truly exceptional season.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dana. Really appreciate it.